If you want a pasta recipe that's so good your kids can't keep their hands out of your plate, make this creamy, slow-roasted tomato Tuscan pasta. I had a bunch of baby tomatoes from my garden, so I decided to slow roast them for about 2 hours to get them to resemble a sort of sun-dried tomato, but better. For the sauce, cook down red onion, garlic, sun-dried tomato, tomato paste, and red pepper flakes in sun-dried tomato oil, then go in with flour, cook that off, and pour in chicken broth and heavy cream. Let this simmer for a couple minutes, then at the end, add in spinach, those slow-roasted tomatoes, lemon juice, some al dente pasta water, and simmer for another 1 to 2 minutes. Finish it all off with some pecorino romano and it's ready to enjoy. A classic Alfredo pasta is surprisingly easy to make, and this one tastes like it just came out of a fancy restaurant, so here's how you make it. Heat some butter in a pan and saute a bunch of minced garlic, then go in with heavy cream cheese, and season that up with some black pepper, white pepper, salt, and herb and garlic seasoning. Let that simmer until it's slightly thickened, then finish it off with lemon juice, pecorino romano, the cooked pasta, and some steamed broccoli if you love yourself. Let this all simmer together for 1 to 2 minutes, then plate it up with some black pepper, fresh chives, a crispy chicken cutlet, and it's ready to enjoy. Possibly the most underrated pasta sauce is rosé, so let's make some creamy rosé pasta. The perfect pairing for a saucy pasta will always be a chicken cutlet, so I went ahead and breaded some chicken, then fried that to crispy golden perfection. For the pasta, cook down some onions until they're lightly golden, then go in with minced garlic, red pepper flakes, passata, a little bit of water, salt, pepper, and sugar, and let this simmer for about 15 minutes. Pour in heavy cream, add in some spinach, a little bit of pasta water, and once this is wilted, add in your cooked pasta along with pecorino romano. Plate this up with some more cheese, a lot of fresh basil, and it's ready to enjoy. Jerk chicken is so flavorful, so it only makes sense to infuse those same flavors into a creamy sauce and make jerk chicken pasta. Start by pounding out some Scotch bonnet pepper and add that to cubed up chicken breast along with minced green onion, white vinegar, soy sauce, a couple spices, and some fresh thyme. Let this marinate for as long as you like, and then fry up the chicken in a hot pan until it's golden and almost all the way cooked through. In the same pan, fry up some bell peppers until they're slightly charred. For the sauce, saute green onions, Scotch bonnet pepper, and minced garlic, then sprinkle in a little bit of flour. Cook that for about a minute, then pour in your heavy cream. Season it up with the same spices you used for the chicken, and then toss in a small bunch of fresh thyme. Let this simmer for a couple minutes until thickened, then add the cooked chicken along with the sauteed peppers back into the sauce, and finish it off with pecorino romano and fresh mozzarella. Toss some cooked pasta in the sauce, garnish with black pepper, green onions, and it's ready to enjoy. Whenever my family shows up unannounced and they want something to eat, these 15-minute butter noodles is what I make. To a large boiling pot of water, add in chicken bouillon, pasta, and French beans. In the last couple minutes of cooking, reserve some pasta water and cook down garlic and red pepper flakes in oil. Add that oil to the drained pasta along with pasta water and some cold butter and stir this aggressively to create the sauce. Add in the rest of that pasta water, pecorino romano, salt, and lots of black pepper and mix this together until that silky sauce coats your noodles. I like to serve this with my Parmesan crusted chicken and it's ready to enjoy. Whenever I crave food court noodles, I remember that the yakisoba noodles I make at home cannot be outdone, so let's make that instead. Start by slicing some steak into thin strips like this and tenderize in a baking soda cold water solution. Rinse that off completely and marinate with soy sauce, white pepper, salt, cornstarch, and avocado oil. For the yakisoba sauce, combine oyster sauce, soy sauce, ketchup, sugar, white vinegar, apple cider vinegar, and some spices. Then slice up the cabbage, white onion, green onion, carrots, and mushrooms. Add a good amount of oil to a large pan, then fry up your beef. Set that aside, go in with the mushrooms and stir fry until they take on some color, then do the same with the chopped up veggies. Boil and drain your noodles, then fry them up with a good amount of oil, leaving them undisturbed for about a minute or so that they actually fry up on the bottom. Add everything back to the pan along with the yakisoba sauce, sesame oil, and some browning sauce for a little extra color. Finish it off with sesame seeds, Kewpie mayo, chopped up seaweed, and it's ready to enjoy. If you want a dinner that feels decadent yet is loaded with veggies, make these udon noodles in a spicy peanut curry sauce. Slice up some chicken breast, then tenderize it in a baking soda water solution. This is going to prevent the chicken from drying out. Then season with soy sauce, rice vinegar, salt, and white pepper. Next, prep all your favorite veggies that you want to add to the noodles. I'm doing broccoli, red bell peppers, and red onions. Add the veggies to a wok with a good amount of oil, season with salt, and stir fry for a few minutes. Do the same with the marinated chicken, then keeping all that flavor in the pan, saute some minced garlic and ginger, gochugaru red pepper powder, and curry powder. Add in peanut butter, a whole can of coconut milk, chicken bouillon, soy sauce, rice vinegar, oyster sauce, gochujang hot sauce, and some water. Lay the noodles in the sauce, add the chicken on top, then cover with a lid and let this simmer on a medium heat for a couple minutes until the noodles are cooked. Add the veggies in the last minute of cooking, toss everything together, and then you can plate it up with some crushed peanuts, fresh cilantro, and enjoy. Whenever I don't know what I want for dinner, I always settle for some sort of Alfredo pasta, so here's how I made this shrimp and broccoli version. Season some shrimp with lemon juice, oil, Old Bay seasoning, smoked paprika, celery salt, regular salt, and black pepper. I'm using 2 broccoli crowns because one never feels like enough. Just chop them up like this and then blanch them in boiling salted water for 1 to 2 minutes. Cook the shrimp in a hot pan until it's 90% of the way cooked through, then set aside. In the same pan, go in with some butter and garlic and cook for a few minutes until it's nice and fragrant, then add in some dried herbs and spices, and the secret ingredient is some cream cheese. This is going to add a nice creamy tang. Pour in some heavy cream, get this all mixed together, and let it simmer for a couple minutes until it's thickened. Finish it off with some salt, pepper, pecorino romano, and a squeeze of lemon juice. Pour in some pasta water to help thin out the sauce, then go in with the al dente pasta, some broccoli, and the shrimp. Let this all simmer together for 1 to 2 more minutes, then top it off with more cheese, red pepper flakes, and enjoy. I ate so much teriyaki chicken from Teriyaki Experience when I was in uni, and I'm craving it again, so let's make it at home. Slice some chicken breasts into thin slices like this. To get it as soft as they do in the restaurants, sprinkle some baking soda on top of the chicken, massage it in and let it sit for about 15 minutes, then rinse it off with cool water and pat the chicken dry. For the veggies, I like to do green bell pepper, red pepper, broccoli, and white onion. For the sauce, combine soy sauce, chicken broth, sugar, rice vinegar, minced garlic, onion powder, sesame oil, sriracha, white pepper, and oyster sauce. Pour this into a pot, let it simmer for a couple minutes, and then finish it off with a starch slurry to thicken. In a hot wok with some oil, fry up that chicken, season with salt, pepper, and squeeze in some of that teriyaki sauce. Once it's got some golden color on it, take it out of the pan, add more oil, and fry up your vegetables for about 2 to 4 minutes. Make sure you don't overdo it so they stay nice and crunchy. Then add the chicken back in, a lot more teriyaki sauce, and you can serve this right over some udon noodles. Top it off with even more teriyaki sauce, some sriracha, sesame seeds, and enjoy. If you're craving ramen for dinner, put in just a little more effort and make these spicy peanut gochujang noodles instead. For the sauce, combine a gochujang with peanut butter, some soy sauce, oyster sauce, a little bit of sesame oil, some sugar, chicken bouillon, and water. Then just cook up whatever noodles you prefer. I'm using these chow mein noodles. With some oil in a wok or a pan, I'm going to fry up some green onions and minced garlic. Then I'm going to add in the cooked noodles along with that sauce and make sure everything is well coated. Finish this off with a good squeeze of lime juice for that added tang. Then garnish with some crushed peanuts, sesame seeds, green onions, and enjoy. If you need a dinner that feels well balanced yet indulgent at the same time, make this. Marinate some chicken thighs with lemon juice, smoked paprika, garlic powder, dried parsley, oregano, salt, pepper, and olive oil. Sear the chicken in a hot pan until it's got some color on both sides, then cook the rest of the way through in an oven or air fryer. To prep the greens, I'm using rapini, but you could also do broccoli, and just blanch that in salted boiling water for about a minute. Then crush and finely mince some garlic cloves and grate a ton of pecorino romano. For the sauce, make sure to reserve some pasta water and allow that to cool slightly before adding it to your pecorino romano and combine using an immersion blender. In the same pan used to cook the chicken, saute minced garlic, red pepper flakes, and black pepper, then add in the blanched rapini, some al dente pasta, and a couple knobs of butter. Pour in that creamy pecorino sauce and toss that until it's well combined. Top it off with even more cheese and enjoy. Sometimes I buy things at the grocery store exclusively because I like the packaging or the way it looks, and that was the case with these tomatoes, so the only right thing to do is make feta pasta. I like to add in some ricotta, which helps mellow out the strong feta flavor. While that's roasting, I seasoned up some chicken thighs with some dried herbs, lemon juice, olive oil, salt, and pepper. Toss that in the air fryer for about 25 to 30 minutes until the edges are crispy. Once my tomatoes and feta have softened, I like to mash everything together like this, but you can also blend it. Add in some fresh basil, Parmesan cheese, pasta water, and add it all to some cooked pasta. Plate it up with a little more cheese, and it's ready to enjoy. I don't know if it's possible to crave something you've never had, but that's exactly how I felt about this Louisiana chicken pasta. Start by sauteing some mushrooms in oil and butter, then once they're golden, set them aside. In the same pan, cook down onions, red peppers, green peppers, and minced garlic. Add in some oil if needed, along with some butter and flour. Cook that for about a minute, then add salt, pepper, the cooked mushrooms, and some heavy cream to a pan. Add in a ton of spices, then simmer for a few minutes. Finish off with black pepper, sugar, lemon juice, and pecorino romano. Pour in pasta water, your bow tie pasta, and toss it all together to get it coated in the sauce. Now for the chicken, pound it out so it's nice and thin, then combine breadcrumbs with pecorino romano. Start coating your chicken in flour, the egg, and then the panko cheese mixture. Fry the chicken in some neutral oil for a couple minutes until golden, then serve it over the pasta. Garnish with more cheese, dried parsley, and enjoy.
Let me show you how to make my incredible Cajun chicken Alfredo. To start, very lightly oil down your chicken breast. Then to season, we got some dried parsley, oregano, chili powder, garlic, paprika, and some cayenne pepper. And then finally, I like to salt the chicken directly, so I put the exact amount. Now, very importantly, get your pan hot, then add some oil. Lay in your beautifully seasoned chicken. Then once they've gotten nice and crusty like you, give them a flip. And when they're still raw on the inside, transfer them off to a sheet tray. And then I'm gonna let these finish in the oven as we make everything else. Now, very importantly, lower the heat and deglaze with some lemon. And then with that, we're gonna saute lots of minced heartburn. Now, at this time, I like to do a little tomato paste or Calabrian chilies. Just make sure you cook it down for a couple minutes to take out that raw flavor. And now it's time for our beautiful heavy cream. Again, you want to scrape down all that beautiful flavor and bring this to an ever so slight bubble. Now to pull everything together, toss in a little pasta water, then drop the heat to a low and add a lot of Italian snow. Finally, it's time to introduce your al dente pasta. Every noodle should be kissed with love. And if you timed everything right, your chicken would have had some time to rest. And I like to make some thin slices so they're easier to eat. And please don't sleep on that chicken because it's extra juicy. Just slide it on top of your beautiful pasta. And as always, na bismillah. Let's make the most delicious baked spaghetti. That is just creamy, dreamy, and packing flavor. As your pan gets hot, drizzle in lots of good olive oil, and then introduce diced onions and just sweat them down. A few minutes later, just salt them down, toss in lots of ground beef, and then with a wooden spoon, just go to town. Now once your meat is brown, I'm gonna salt this down one more time, then just lower the heat and go in with your favorite store-bought marinara. And I like to pack it with ground beef so there's extra protein. This is one of those recipes that's super easy, but damn delicious. You just trust the process. Now in a separate pot, I'm gonna warm down some cream. Then once it starts to lightly bubble, drop the heat and start grating down some Italian snow. Now I'm gonna add my cooked spaghetti to that warm cream, splash of pasta water to thicken, and then you just want every noodle to be sauced and glossed. Now this is inspired from a recipe called $1 Million Spaghetti, but usually a full Alfredo or bechamel sauce is used. That's way too much work. It's time to toss the spaghetti into a baking dish, top that all off with your meat sauce, and then you want to just top this off with a light layer of shredded cheese. I'm doing a 3-pepper Kobe Jack for a kick. Now, into the oven, 350, 20 minutes. And obviously finish with greens to negate all those calories. And as always, na bismillah.
Today, I'm making this cheesy keema macaroni, a simple yet delicious that takes me right back to my childhood. Let's get started. First, heat up oil in a pan. Now add in diced onions and cook until they become translucent. It's time for our garlic. Toss it in and let it cook until fragrant. Let's add the mince of your choice. Use your spatula to break it apart and cook until color changes. Season it up. Sprinkle in some salt, black pepper, crushed red chilies, and oregano. Let all these flavors mingle for a few minutes. Mix in tomatoes and then cover the pan. Let it simmer until the gravy thickens, the mince is tender, and you see that oil bubbling on top. Bring a pot of water to a boil, adding a touch of salt and oil. Cook macaroni according to packet instructions. Drain and add to the mince mixture and give it a good stir. Finally, let's sprinkle some mozzarella cheese on top, cover the pan, and let it sit for a few minutes until the cheese melts. This is totally optional. Garnish with some sliced chilies and chopped coriander. And there you have it. Dig in and enjoy every delicious bite.